checklist. And for them, maybe you have to do your best to give them a checklist. Like, well, listen, when you can, approach a problem and, cover all your bases, and you can ask these certain questions and you can understand the full context, that's when you'll be a senior level person. And some people don't care about the checklist and they really want some more abstract expression of it. Maybe they want a measure of time. And I think the communicating with somebody in that relationship always comes down to understanding where they're coming from and what they're going to benefit best from and how they're going to understand that situation, which is so difficult to do. It cannot be overstated from my perspective how difficult it is to put yourself in someone else's shoes to that degree.
I think it's interesting that you say that because one of the things, I think your point is really true, because I've been hiring for such early stage teams. I tend to have to hire people who have some sameness. Just because like your first 10 hires are different than your second 10, different than your third 10, right? And so in these very early teams, there are just certain characteristics that I have to hire for. So I think it was either Andy or Matt, you said, I prefer firm parameters and I don't really want to work on projects where the parameters aren't really firm. I could never have someone like that on my team right now. Maybe 2-3 years down the line, but like right now, I have to have people who can like really dig through ambiguity. And really kind of be able to look at a lot of stuff and organize it really quickly and help teams that aren't designers. So check boxes just don't work for us like at this particular stage. And I can't hire for people who would need that type of learning because that's not what I can supply right now. So I definitely agree with you. Like different people need different types of learning. Just like when you're working on teams that are super young, you hire and think about things a little bit differently as they mature.
I think that's the way you said that is such a great indication that you're probably doing things the right way, because to be able to know that, listen, if you need to learn in a certain way, this is not a context for you to do that is huge, and it like could save so much wasted time and headaches, not just for you, but for people you might hire that might come into that situation and might not be well suited to the context you're in. Most places, I feel like, do not have the self-awareness to be like that. So that's kudos on that. All right, let's go to final thoughts. I will start off to give you all time to think of what your final thought is going to be. And what I will say is that one of the underlying things for this whole conversation for me that I have found to be very true throughout my entire life, and is something I always need to like remind myself, is that, it's so easy to kind of get caught in a habit or get caught in a ritual or get caught in a job that's comfortable and you understand it, especially if it's not challenging you intellectually or challenging you in sort of the ways which you want to be challenged. And I always have to like remember that, in 5 years, I will be the person that did this for 5 years. And that person has a very specific set of experiences and perspective that is shaped so much by how that time is spent. And really just the way you spend your time is so precious and shapes you so much as a person that taking time to be like what some people would describe as selfish about that, and like finding a team that shares your values and finding a mentor that can help you do the things you want to do and accomplish the things you want to accomplish is so valuable, because it's all too easy to end up regretting a chunk of your career because you weren't chasing the things you wanted to chase and you were just kind of stuck somewhere. So I really am a huge fan of self-awareness for that as much as possible.
Actually, related to that, when I was reading this article, there's parts of it I can relate to and parts of it where I was kind of like, well, in my company, like senior is such like a binary thing. Like you're either senior or not. Like, what does this mean? But I appreciated the idea of maturity, because there's more like being able to go through this list and more ask the question, like, how do I stack up on this? Because it's kind of like when you're such a small place where it's close to flat. It's not like you're like moving up the ladder and measuring yourself that way. So it's more just like thinking about like ways in which I am senior and I am not, even though I happen to be like one of the leaders of the company. And like I kind of like the idea of like measuring myself that way and seeing like, do I have the maturity to like not try to work in this like cover your ass fashion, or do I have this maturity to lead people in the right way? I don't know, that the term senior means so many different things to so many different people. I don't think it's as valuable as just like trying to measure your like career maturity and trying to get better.
Christy, what's your final thought?
I actually too, I want to piggyback on that. I actually did really love the term maturity too over senior. and I'm actually wondering if it's a better term to use, as I actually am designing our career paths for my
Put
team.
that on the business card, mature designer. I like that.
Mature designer. Totally. But I wonder, I guess my other kind of competing thought is like, what does it mean to be an immature designer? And does anyone want that title? And how does that boost morale or not? I guess it's easy for me to say because I reached a point in my career where title really doesn't matter that much anymore. And I really would love for us to just focus on learning and getting great experience and less on titles. I wish we could kind of do away with them to some degree. But I know they matter to people, so I guess we'll keep on working at trying to get them better.
Can I say I really like the idea of the immature designer? It's just like a designer who says no and like knocks the laptop out of your hand when he doesn't think so goes away.
Sabrina, put a bow on it.
My takeaway was very similar to Christy's. I think